So let's talk a little bit about homeostasis and the endocannabinoid system. So the best way to explain this concept is using a model of a mobile. There are horizontal elements with strings hanging from them, and then we have the stars attached to the end. Now each system has a model where the stars represent what it controls. For example, in this model, the stars represent signaling molecules, and if this model is one of your neurology, the stars that are hanging would be the neurotransmitters. If this was in dynamic balance, if you change anything in the mobile, it affects everything. Now let's say, for example, that the star down here at the bottom, which is now big and swollen and red, gets weighted down. It will pull everything down, and that whole mobile is going to shift. So initially the mobile goes through these oscillations and movements and ups and downs until it all stabilizes and calms down. During the shifting and oscillations is when you feel sick, when you have symptoms, but our bodies will compensate and a new balance will be found. Our body's physiologies are so smart that they will find a new point of balance. All our bodies need to stay in a constant state of homeostasis. The stronger your body's ability to stay in that state, the healthier you are. Now let's say you have another one of these stars in the mobile that goes a little bit haywire. You're feeling sick and you go to the doctor, and the doctor does some kind of test and decides, okay, we need to give you some kind of drug to deal with this element, this one star. Notice that the drug is designed to deal with exactly that one star. Not the entire system, just that one star. We also know that pharmaceutical drugs have many unintended side effects, and so, because of the drug you're taking, another star goes haywire. You have one more symptom and you have to take one more drug. Now you seem to be stable, you seem to be functioning, but are you really? Everything seems to be fine because the mobile isn't shifting anymore. But let's take a closer look at your system. This is what's actually happening. You now have all sorts of artificial weights attached to your physiology. Your mobile has a lot of stress, and under that weight of all these different drugs, oversized stars, you're pulling heavily on this mobile, to a point where some of these sticks and bars are now bent. One more thing goes wrong, something as small as a cold or a virus, and even some kind of an interaction with drugs that you didn't anticipate, and you break. You end up in the ICU or in the medical ward. So let's go over to the topic of the endocannabinoid system. Now this system was discovered by Dr. Raphael Mechoulam from the Hebrew University in Israel. Now what he found was that we have a network of cells throughout our body that has receptors for cannabinoids. In fact, there are more receptors in our body for cannabinoids than any other receptors. It's the largest system within our physiology. Dr. Mechoulam also discovered that we make our own cannabinoids, namely anandamide and 2-AG. Anandamide is something we create when we're meditating, hence it's called the bliss molecule. Now both 2-AG and anandamide are excreted in mother's milk when breastfeeding. They're also associated with a runner's high. Instead of working at the level of the stars, cannabinoids work at the nexus of balance. That would be in these green orbs where the string attaches to the stick. That's where the system knows where it's in or out of balance. But let's take a closer look at how cannabinoids affects our physiology and central nervous system. At the level of individual cells, the cell surfaces are covered with these receptors for cannabinoids. When they bind with those receptors, it sends a message into the cell, which travels all the way down to the nucleus of the cell, where the intelligence of the entire physiology is contained within our chromosomes. The chromosomes contain DNA, which contains the codes for everything that our body does. This is like the software that runs our physiology. Genes are the code for every protein that our body makes, including all the signaling molecules that run our physiology. Now why is this important? Cannabinoids modulate the transcript of over 1,100 genes that make the signaling molecules that naturally reduce inflammation in our nervous system and throughout our immune system. And all of this come together to get your body to a state of homeostasis. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please click on the like button or subscribe to my channel for more.